CNN has officially called it. Senator Bernie Sanders there in the lead, Pete Buttigieg as well behind him, continuing in those positions for the Democratic field following last night's primary in New Hampshire. But, you know, we are just 2 contests in, people, and there are still 49 to go, meaning that there is a lot of room for things to change. So while Sanders and Buttigieg are hoping to see more of the same, others like Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren are praying for a dramatic shift in fortune, and they may get it as we move on to more diverse states. Remember, both Iowa and New Hampshire are more than 90% white. Tom Foreman has a look at the road ahead, and tell us what it looks like, Tom.
It looks like it's long, Brianna, as you said. Take a look at the calendar here. If you're a campaign out there, this is what you're looking at. You have 2 races out of the way here, relatively small. Everyone looks at them, but this is just the start. Nevada coming up, South Carolina coming up. Joe Biden, of course, hoping for a big surge in South Carolina where he'll bring in some of the vote and maybe he'll do better there. But this over here is the month that really matters here. When you hit March and Super Tuesday comes roaring in here, and then you have another Super Tuesday, and then some more states that come cluttering in there, by the end of March, then you'll be talking about having about half the field of delegates settled, and that will make a huge, huge difference in terms of who is really in front. This is where the delegates are right now. Think about how many you need to win here. Look at all the delegates you need to win, and this is where we are. We're barely starting at all. Yes, Buttigieg is doing well, Sanders is doing well, Warren not as well as she would have liked, Klobuchar is sort of surging right now, and Joe Biden less well than he would like. But if you just look at the next 2 contests, the reason they're interested in these 2 is because they're hoping that with these numbers to work at, maybe they can shift a little bit of the perception of who is moving ahead. And that's really all this is about right now. It's not the total count. It's the sense of, do you have momentum? Might you be able to win as you push into March, the big month there, when Mike Bloomberg is really going to come to play, see if he has any traction, how you hand up against that. But that really is why you see people like Bennett and Yang and Patrick dropping out, because they don't really have that mojo going for them. It's, you know, fetch is not going to happen, Gretchen. That's what happened with those campaigns. And ultimately they have to say, we're stepping aside because those big numbers are sitting out there waiting to be collected.
You got to have the mojo, and you are our mojo expert, Tom Foreman. Thank you so much. So joining us fresh off of the New Hampshire win is Senator Sanders' campaign co-chair, Nina Turner. And first, congratulations. This was a big day.
Thank you, Brianna.
Okay, let's take a look at the numbers. Of course, as you know, everyone is dissecting them because this is really Senator Sanders' second time that he's gone through this in New Hampshire. And in 2016, he won by 22%. He had more than 150,000 total votes. This time around, he won by just over 1% and 73,000 total votes. I know obviously the field is much larger here, but even controlling for that, it appears that he may have lost a little support. What do you think about that?
All right, we won. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, took the words right out of my mouth. There are more people running this time, and so he won. We won. We are 2 for 2. We won the popular vote in the great state of Iowa, and we won the popular vote in the great state of New Hampshire, and the senator won the largest share of people of color in both of those states. So I know folks want to disregard the black and brown and Asian folks and other ethnic minorities that are living in the state of Iowa and also New Hampshire. Yes, it is true that those states are primarily white, but there are some sisters and brothers of color in those states, and they selected their candidate overwhelmingly, and that's Senator Bernard Sanders. And the same can be said about the millennial and Generation Z as well.
Okay, I do want to ask you this. Yes, there were more candidates. That is obviously very clear. It's a much more crowded field than it was last time. But even if you were to take, say, Elizabeth Warren's votes, say she wasn't in the race, and tack them onto Bernie Sanders, he would still fall tens of thousands of votes short of what he had in 2016, even though turnout was actually higher this time. Are you not worried about that? Is there a lesson to be learned for that about how maybe he needs to hone his message as a candidate who's now more familiar to voters?
Absolutely not. The lesson to be learned is that he won, and adding up the votes of Senator Sanders and Senator Warren and the moderate candidates in this race is not the way to look at the race. We won fair and square, just flat out. And the message that our campaign has, that Senator Sanders is running to change the material conditions of the poor and barely middle class in this country, is resonating. Everything about this Democratic contest is swirling in the arena of Senator Bernie Sanders. The entire Democratic debate process is animated by Medicare for All, Green New Deal, reforming a legal system that is unjust in every stretch of the imagination, increasing wages in this country. So no, our message is resonating with the American people, and that can be seen by our We Are 2 for 2.
Okay, I'm not disputing that he won. I just want to make that clear. I was just looking at the breakdown of the numbers there, which I do think is important. This is now shaping up just at this sort of snapshot of where we are in this race. Pete Buttigieg won in Iowa, a very close race there, obviously. He came in second in New Hampshire, pretty close behind Bernie Sanders. If this is right now, do you see this as kind of the face-off? And if so, how do you counter the momentum of Pete Buttigieg when, you know, it's possible that could actually embolden some of the folks who support him?
Well, the question becomes, Brianna, how does he and any of the other candidates that are running deal with the momentum that we have? We had a full-fledged movement behind us, multiracial, multi-ethnic, multicultural. And you're going to see some of these candidates bump up against that when they get to the great state of Nevada, the great state of South Carolina, and all of the Super Tuesday states. Senator Sanders is polling nationally as the #1 candidate that people want to see or believe can go the strongest head-to-head with President Donald J. Trump. And, Brianna, we are building that kind of coalition. Some of these candidates that you just named, Mr. Buttigieg, #1, is polling anywhere between 0 and 3% with the black community and also our Hispanic sisters and brothers. And the last time I checked, black folks and brown folks are the majority in terms of the coalition that is needed to build to win throughout the United States of America. You cannot win this race without bringing black folks, without winning over the black community. And Senator Sanders is doing that. He has increased his share of the black community who believe in his message and what he is standing for. We're going to keep on doing that. So we got the movement. We have the momentum. I know you said Mr. Buttigieg won Iowa, but I just want to push back on that.
I know you're
contesting. We got the popular vote in both Iowa and New Hampshire. So we are 2 for 2, Brianna.
I want to ask you about South Carolina. You say that Bernie Sanders has made strides with the black vote. The campaign has only spent a little over $200,000 in South Carolina on ads. It was a tough place for him, certainly against Hillary Clinton. He's pulling well behind Joe Biden when it comes to support among black voters. So, I mean, how is he viewing South Carolina? Why did he only spend just a little bit of money there?
Well, it depends on what poll you look at. The senator is eating into that. And the black community should not be held responsible for all of these candidates win. And unlike Vice President Joe Biden, Senator Bernie Sanders is not taking the black community for granted just because of proximity to the first black president. We are in that state. The senator has attended over 60 events in that state. And you couple that with the fact that he has people like me, other of his national co-chairs, people like Dr. Cornel West, we got Killer Mike, Brother Philip Agnew, you name it. We are all over the great state of South Carolina building the requisite relationships that are needed and not calling the African American community a firewall. And we are about to invest more in ads. I get your point, Brian. But there are things that money cannot buy. And being there physically is what the senator has done time and time again since last year. So we're feeling really good about South Carolina. I can guarantee you this, it will be like night and day to what happened in 2016.
Okay, all right. That's what I wanted to understand from you, and I appreciate your answer. Nina Turner, we really appreciate you coming on. Thanks for joining us from Manchester.
Thank you, always.
So after saying that President Trump